Illaoi is a beast on the support role since no matter what the enemy bot lane picks, they are definitely going to lose the laning phase. When the enemy champion is an engaged support, well, they are both going to die. When the enemy decides to play a poke champion, well, he is going to die. When they pick an enchanter, well, they are not going to die, but guess which ADC will get more CS and platings? Obviously mine. They can even bag their jungler for help, but ganking Illaoi is one of the dumbest idea in League of Legends. It's kinda weird that a top laner who has no CC spells, healing or any engage can be a great supporter. Even her range, compared with other champions that are considered as supporters, is quite low. And her only spell that can be used for poke is slower than my reaction time when I have to save a teammate with my heal. But one of her 4 abilities is enough to turn Illaoi into one of the most annoying and strongest supporters in this game, and with this special build and runes, she even deals more damage compared to her normal position. Even before the laning phase starts, you need to be active as Illaoi support. When your jungler doesn't need a leash, you can walk directly towards the bot lane and set up your tentacles with your passive. Illaoi spawns every 20 seconds one of these at the nearest terrain. They are an important tool later when you have unlocked your W and E spell. But by the time now you should place them here and here, since it's very likely that Illaoi gets pushed in until she hits level 3. Placing the tentacles to offensive will just result into getting cleared by the enemy ADC. At level 1 you should play passively and try to poke the enemy with your Q spell when they try to get some farm. It deals some solid damage, but when you miss it you have to wait 10 seconds until it's up again. So you are going to spend this time doing absolutely nothing, until you hit level 2. You are going to put the skill point into the E spell. This ability is the reason why Illaoi support works so well. She basically rips the soul out of her opponent, and this thing can now be damaged for about 7 seconds until it disappears again. The damage dealt to the clone will be transmitted towards your enemy, but this is some basic poke. Why should I even play Illaoi when I can poke the enemy directly as a Xerath or a Lux? Well, the big difference is that this clone can also be damaged by your AD carry. So you create a punching bag where both of you can smack the shit out of it, resulting into more damage than a normal poke spell. And when the clone gets killed, the enemy gets slowed and he has to dodge these annoying tentacles that keep spawning and punching at him for the next 10 seconds. Oh, I guess somebody died over there. Just like you. But what if the enemy just walk out of this area? Well, he will get less damage, but this effect will last on him anyway for 10 seconds. So there are 2 options. Take the farm, which results into more damage and a dodge game at the end of it. Or drop the farm and go for the dodge game directly. And here is the reason why you should take Dark Harvest instead of Conquer. When you manage to hit the clone to low HP, it gives you a Dark Harvest stack. So you can safely farm these things by just hitting UE spell, increasing your damage and scaling even more. Just make sure to hit it or you have to wait 16 seconds until it's up again and you lose your whole pressure to prevent the enemy AD carry from farming. The problem is that the hitbox of the E spell is quite small and it can't get through minions. Well, there are a few tricks to make it easier to hit. The first trick would be to throw your E spell towards the enemy standing behind the minion wave, right before these coworker dies. This way you can catch them off guard and they will have some fun dodging all these tentacles. The second trick would be using your W spell as a gap closer, so now it gets impossible to miss the E spell. When the enemy turns on you in order to get a kill, well, they made a big mistake since Illaoi's early game damage is really high, and when the clone got pulled out, you can deal damage to both of them at the same time, increasing the pain even more. And since she is a top laner, her base health and resistances are high enough to survive some auto attacks of a pathetic AD carry. So the only option the enemy has is to retreat. They literally have to stay at a spot where they can't get poked, resulting into a lot of CS and XP loss. So there is only one specific thing left that the enemy bot lane can do when they are losing the lane hard. The last option that is left, to turn the lane around in order to win the game. Ask the jungler for help. This is probably the best idea when you are hard losing your lane. I mean, they can't even step up to the minion wave without losing half of their HP. But is ganking Illaoi really a great idea? Well, probably not. Illaoi has a great anti-gank tool with her ultimate. It summons tentacle that deal a bit more damage than under normal circumstances, but the amount of how many are getting spawned depends on the amount of enemies nearby. So by a gank there are at least 3 of them dealing a lot of damage, with even one more when you manage to hit your E spell on someone, since the clone also counts as one champion. That's why Illaoi support is so great, since on the bot lane there is one enemy more compared with other roles, which means there is one more tentacle to deal damage. And here is where Illaoi's W spell gets really interesting. When you hit it on someone, the tentacle will attack faster without showing their hitbox. You can keep attacking with your W spell until these things disappear. Since you are going to build lethality on Illaoi, these tentacles are even going to deal more damage than under normal circumstances. But when you take a look at the items you are going to build on Illaoi support, you might wonder, how am I going to afford all these things? Most supporters are going to buy support items which are way more affordable because of their low price tag, and champions like Vel'Koz and Xerath have this item which grant them gold when they hit an enemy to afford these expensive AP items. But what if you don't want to build AP? No problem, since the item called Spectral Sickle exists, which also grants you gold when you hit enemy champions. Illaoi will have a hard time hitting the enemies with her Q spell, but luckily the clone also count as enemy champion, so by just attacking this thing, you earn 20 gold when the stacks are up. So we have now talked about the fact that Illaoi is a great anti-gank champion with her ultimate, but what if your jungler decides to come for a visit on the bot lane? As already told, Illaoi doesn't has any kind of hard CC, knockup or charm that would make a great gank setup. The only useful ability would be the E spell, which deals some damage without standing next to the enemy champion and slows them for a short duration. But after all, Illaoi is a champion that wants to be engaged and doesn't have a great follow-up. Late game you will have to adjust your playstyle with her build since you don't have a lot of resistances or health. You won't be able to dive straight into the enemy team and use your ultimate, and split pushing isn't a great idea at all, but Illaoi's damage is insane. So camping on some spots and surprising the enemy with your ultimate is a great way to get rid of one enemy who can't participate on the next team fight. When your team is going to fight for an objective, be there on time and set up your tentacles since they are essential when it comes to dealing damage with Illaoi. But since Illaoi's damage is so high thanks to this build, even one tentacle is enough to make an even trade with Master Yi. And when you are wondering why this Trundle top can easily run down the enemy Aatrox with just one kill advantage and take 4 platings in just 15 seconds, click on this video right here.